Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Alpha Class TCG and why as a Flesh and Blood player, I think you should be interested in this game, why I think you would enjoy this game, and just kind of go through a couple different points. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoy your stay. If you're a long-standing supporter, thank you so much as always. Feel free to check out the Discord down below as well as the channel membership and the creator worksheet, and we'll get right into it. So this video is going to have, hopefully the thumbnail is enough to at least get some of my Flesh and Blood peeps to click on it and give me a few minutes. This video is going to draw on some comparisons that both games kind of share, like some similarities you'll automatically see that you'll enjoy. But it's also going to talk about some points that I think, and this isn't like a negativity on Flesh and Blood, it's just like there's certain elements of Flesh and Blood that can wear on the player a little bit. The fatigue, like some of the high competitive aspect of it, it's a benefit and also a curse. The price, all that stuff, right? Whatever the case may be, I'm gonna try to show both good comparisons and good contrasting differences that hopefully will kind of draw you to the conclusion of this is a great game, because it is. And I wanted to tailor this video specifically for Flesh and Blood players, because I've done a video in the past where it was just like, why should you play Alpha Clash, and those did well. But I know most of my audience is Flesh and Blood, right? So I'm trying to tailor it specifically to you to help you out and hopefully give you a good comparison for it. So before we get into point one, the one honorable mention point, so to speak, is a lot of like well-known Flesh and Blood players already play the game. Michael Hamilton has won several big events, like their version of Callings, basically their Clash Ground events, and has top 8 at others. We have Peter Bedinzik has played also. Mo Bogsley plays a lot. Merritt Kemp plays a lot. A lot of these like Calling, Pro Tour and national level players travel the country to play this game at the big events. And the thing about this game, and the one little side note I'll get on, is like their version of Callings aren't like these. They are competitive events, but they're more of like almost like convention community style big get-togethers, so to speak. They do have a Pro Tour and all that stuff, but a lot of their big events are just awesome, great kind of tent pole events for the community. So for these, hyper competitive Flesh and Blood players to still be traveling across the country to play in these events that from an EV perspective, they'll come out even at best. I think it just shows you like how great this game is. That's kind of like an honorable mention point here. But the first point I want to get in, and the easiest and biggest comparison, is it is a hero-based trading card game. You have a contender, which gives you base abilities, and kind of a base game plan, so to speak. As you can see, the one above me, Genesis Emissary of Chaos, is one example of one of them. You also have contenders like Lyn Rogue Agent, contenders like Pestilence Prince of Plagues. You have like all these contenders. Now, they have affiliations. Pestilence in the bottom right is a Harbinger, which is a lore kind of piece to it, and that's a different video for a different time, or you can go watch my lore videos. Lyn is what's called a Rogue affiliation. Then you have Genesis, who's also a Harbinger, and they have Alphas, Alpha Hunters, all this type of stuff. So you're not necessarily class locked like you are with like, Katsu, you're a ninja. You only can play ninja cards and generics. When you're Pestilence, certain Harbinger and Pestilence cards will give you greater synergies, but you're not necessarily locked to that color or that affiliation. But your deck identity does go very much with what your contender's abilities are. So you'll start to see that initial kind of, you identify with a certain contender or a certain hero, and you build your deck based off that, and you enjoy things based off that, right? Like, for example, Pestilence is very much a toxic counters, like makes the other opponent's creatures or out clash cards, as they're called, get minus counters, is able to do a lot of discarding, stuff like that. Lyn is very much like a mill deck, but also can be used as like a low to the ground engine. And then you have Emissary or Genesis, who's very much like a resource manipulation type deck. There's all types of stuff, right? But your hero is a central focal point of your identity with your deck choice. So that's something that Flesh and Blood players will see a lot with this game. It's probably the most easiest one to compare. The next one is it's a lore-driven game. Now, this is a contrasting point to Flesh and Blood. Flesh and Blood does have decent lore, not going to lie. We've had some good stuff, but we've also been starved a little bit. People have been wanting more lore, so to speak. This whole game, like, its main focal point is lore, to be honest with you. Not like the TCG isn't good or anything like that. Like, the TCG is the main product line. However, they have comic books that now, as of this year, they're going to be starting in September. They come out every month or every month and a half on the Team Covenant. You can do like a subscription for like $10 to $20 a comic, and the comic directly goes in with the TCG. They have a PvE experience, which I'll talk about here in a second, which also drives into the comics and drives into the TCG. They're coming out with a board game. Like, all of the products are centered around this story. It started with a novel, so to speak. It's like a book. Let's see, I don't have it close to me, but it's a book that kind of goes over the initial story, and it's almost like Marvel or DC, right? And they're basically building all of their products around this cohesive, lore-driven story. And what they're starting to do now, as of this year, is they take the art from their comic books, which are written by Mark Waid and like really well-known comic book writers, and they take the art from the comic and put it directly onto the card. So you're starting to have if you keep up with the lore and keep up with the comics, keep up with the story, when you see that card, it's going to have like a double importance to you, because it's both a good, a piece of your deck, but also a piece of the lore that you recognize. You have a whole new meaning for the game once you understand the lore of it. And I think for Flesh and Blood players specifically, they've been wanting that. They want that lore-driven experience. And this game, like, no joke, despite its size, is the best in the industry, in my opinion. It's not even close at incorporating lore into the game. That's just my opinion. So I think if you're a Flesh and Blood player that likes the lore aspect of your game, of our game, but you want a little bit more, you're looking for something a little bit different, and you're kind of a Marvel DC fan, you like the superhero aspect of it, you're gonna love this. Like, you'll be hooked immediately. I've been ordering every comic book, all the novels. I have all that stuff, like all these little lore dumps. It's awesome. So definitely check that out. That's another thing. Here you go. Here's the novel above me, The Awakening. I forgot that I put it in the slideshow. And then you also have like Torque. This is the Torque comic book. You have the Awakening novel, and you have the newest Clash Grounds comics that are coming out, and they're coming out with a lot of other ones. So that's really good. The next point is a PvE experience. This is something that Flesh and Blood players have been wanting so bad, and they have knocked it out of the park with this new PvE experience that's coming out. It's called Siege of the Forgotten. You can either play against the boss by yourself, or you can play with up to 4 other players, a 1v4 against the boss, and the boss is kind of like automated based off card draw. Like, you can play with like, not AI, but like an automated boss experience, or you can have one player be the boss and the other 4 be against them. You build your own deck. You can build a PvE focused deck just like you would a normal constructed deck, and then you go against the boss. They have different game modes. They have even greater difficulties with like the red text on each boss. It's a whole thing, and it's super, super good. And they're going to be coming out with more of this PvE experience with different bosses, different types of raids, and it's something that you can order to your store, which is awesome. So you can both have the constructed experience and the PvE experience. Like, there is not another TCG on the market right now that is doing PvE like they're doing, and it's coming out. It's about to start this upcoming month. So definitely get a look at that. But if you're a Flesh and Blood player that's been wanting the PvE, which most all of us have, we haven't gotten that at all. This is going to satisfy that itch tremendously. They're actually also going to be doing complete competitive events on PvE. I know at the Pro Tour in October, in Tennessee, they're also going to have a gauntlet event, which is a PvE event. You take 4 teammates and you go against the raid boss, and you get points based off your performance, and it goes round and round, and they're actually going to crown like a winner, which is insane. So definitely try it out. As you can see above here, this is the Siege of Forgotten, the raid deck. This is the PvE all-in-one experience that they're going to have, and stuff like that. So that's another reason. The next one is deck price point. Now, this is a big one. Obviously, Flesh and Blood's a very expensive game. Now, there are ways you can make your deck expensive in Alpha Clash, but generally, I would say, with the exception of a few choice archetypes, it's very affordable. I would say the average deck, if I had to give a guess, would be about $125 fully tuned. Now, there are a couple decks that can get to like the $300-$400 range if you like get like certain packages of cards. But most of the decks are like just over $100 fully tuned, and you honestly can play like a $100 deck and be completely fine. Also, the good thing about this is it's very similar to Flesh and Blood, in which when you get the staples of certain colors in each color, it just like that's like 80% of the deck right there. Like in blue, getting the play set of Lin is really important. In black, getting like suit ups and stuff like that, and getting the clarities. Like, I know you don't know what that means off the top of your head. I'm just saying, like, it greatly diminishes the price of the deck after that, like tenfold. But even with that, there's still like just over $100 in average price point. You might creep up to like 150 averages, I would say, because there are a few decks that get to like 300-ish, but for the most part, they're in the $100 range. So deck price point is a big factor. The next thing is a great competitive and casual mix. This is something that Flesh and Blood has lacked a little bit at certain times. There's not really like a casual format. They're doing a great job with like Project Blue and with other stuff, Commoner. But this game at its heart is trying to create a competitive, semi-competitive environment that is also a fun first format. It is not casual in terms of depth of play. There's a lot of stuff you can do on the deck building perspective and how you play this game. But like, for example, Hunger of the Void above me and the Hidden Hand are the newest what are called event cards for this game. So every major event, like their equivalent of callings, which are called Clash Grounds, they have what's called an event card, which is a start and play, stay and play card that affects the board. So for example, the Hidden Hand gives all of your Clash Grounds, which are like Pokemon stadiums, basically, like symmetrical effects on the board. Whoever controls a Clash Ground gets +1 offense on their contender. Whoever doesn't control a Clash Ground, they can choose something to get first strike, essentially, super speed during an engagement. So there's like benefits to that. So with this event card, hero or contenders that can buff themselves and like attack with themselves efficiently are going to get a little bit more of a buff. But normally without this, certain archetypes wouldn't be as powerful. The last event card was really, really powerful and would negate one on-enter effect, which completely changed the entire meta. A lot of the green decks that were getting these crazy on-enter effects suddenly were like not that good. Or they could just be countered naturally, so people had to switch it up. So they do this every major Clash Ground event, which can change the meta. While also keeping it competitive, they make sure that they have certain things in place in order to, keep a competitive environment, but they keep switching it up with this casual stuff. They also have what are called bounties. So for all my Arachne Huntsman fans out there, or Olympia, or Max, or something like that, they'll have what are called bounties for their less powerful or less represented heroes for each color, each big event. So one event might have like Paul is a bounty at red. They might have Clarity 2.0 at their white, so on and so forth. And if you play that contender, if you choose to play them at that big event, and you are the top placing person on that contender, you get a 1-of-1 promo card and $100, which is really fun. So it entices people that maybe love, those kind of rogue decks to be able to play them at these big events, and it creates like both a casual funness to it and a competitive fun for the people who just are trying to win. So that's another thing that's really, really good. But those are the biggest ones. So hero-based TCG, something you will definitely see very easily and synergize with Flesh and Blood. It's a lore-driven game. There's comic books around it. There's board games. There's PvE experience, and they're all driven, and the TCG are all driven into the story, into this lore that really kind of brings it together and allows people to, never feel like they're left behind no matter what part of the game you're playing. There's a fantastic PvE experience that is coming out that people are just loving. That's also going to be incorporated into their competitive circuit. And then finally, deck price points and a great mix of casual and competitive are very good. If you like superhero, style things, this is a game for you. If you love PvE, this is a game for you. If you want to do solo play, this is a game for you. But again, like I said, there's several big Flesh and Blood players that already play this game. If you look at the top 8s in the United States, half of them are basically at bigger events. Half of them are basically Flesh and Blood players, which is really funny. They keep kind of clean in house. Like I said, players like Michael Hamilton, Peter Benedzik, Mo Bogsley, Zach Bunn from Team Covenant, Merrick Kemp, stuff like that. Really, really top players. So I implore anybody to give it a try. The last thing I'll say that is really important is they have what's called a champion store program, which basically means it's way less risk to your store if you want to try it out. They don't go through a distributor. When you ask to be a champion store, which basically means affiliate with Alpha Clash and get product, you will speak with Ridge, the CEO and founder, and Garrett directly. And then what they can do is they can basically a la carte. Like if your store says, hey, we have a very small community that's interested, we're just going to order 4 boxes and a raid kit above. And that's it. If they for some reason don't sell those boxes that they ordered in a certain amount of time, they can sell them back to Alpha Clash and regain their money. And Alpha Clash just uses them at conventions or somewhere else. So it's very little risk to the store to try to grow the community. It's not like they have to buy a certain amount of product or they're left with product hanging on the shelf if it doesn't sell. It's very low risk, so it's really nice. And they also have great level starter product that they can send to the store in order to help newer players that maybe haven't built a full deck yet. So I implore anybody to give it a try. I wanted to kind of talk about this as it pertains to Flesh and Blood specifically. I think there's a lot of like core similarities with like hero archetype and really balanced gameplay, but there's also some stuff that we've been asking for as Flesh and Blood players, PvE, a more semi-casual, semi-competitive mode and scene, more lore, more story involved around the game, stuff like that we haven't gotten in Flesh and Blood that this is providing. And I'm not saying play this, not Flesh and Blood. I'm just saying that I think this is something that a lot of people will be interested in on top of Flesh and Blood. So definitely give it a look. I'd love to get your thoughts on it. It's something I'm going to keep pushing on the channel because I love this game. It's great. It's probably going to be the bulk of my content here in the near future just because it's the game I'm enjoying the most right now. Hopefully that's okay. But yeah, if you like this type of content, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. If there's certain things you want to know about Alpha Clash or certain types of content you'd like to see from me, I'm going to try to do some gameplay at my local game store recorded to kind of talk about it and kind of go through it, and so you can get an idea what gameplay looks like. Definitely go to their website. There's some other great events that are coming up, both in America and the Philippines, which is really fun. But yeah, thank y'all so much for watching this. If you like this type of content, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. If not, it's completely fine. Go to another creator of any TCG you like. Go follow them. Go like their stuff. Let's get more people playing some games, having some good hobbies. And I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk. Thank y'all so much.